Fears of the dark, fears of the dark. I have a constant fear that this creepy animated French anthology film is unfortunately overlooked. Tied together by a black and white colour scheme and a broad theme of fear, Fears of the Dark is comprised of 6 segments. 6 stories, each produced by different creators and animators. This setup allows the film to shed its skin on a regular basis, mixing up the content, style, and visuals. So be careful, blink, and you might just miss 5 cool, spooky images. The opening credit sequence sets the mood with some janky font and a Danny Elfman-esque soundtrack. Now that you're settled in, you are whisked away on an adventure through a series of spooks and uncanny valleys. Out of the 6 parts, I would say there are 4 main segments that hold a longer duration and mostly play out uninterrupted. The first story brings 50 Shades of Cronenberg, featuring both body horror and unusual insect buggery. A young man who was raised in relative isolation spends his youth collecting and studying creepy crawlies. He catches a rather unique little beastie in a jar, but it escapes, though sometimes late at night, the guy can now hear a weird scratching noise emanating from his bed. He grows up and leaves for college.
You 2 sons of bitches are going to college. Yes, no!
Where his lifetime of solitude is challenged. Nervous, afraid, and now incredibly sexually frustrated, events get out of hand as he falls for a fellow student, while the bedtime scratching noises return. The second story follows a young girl whose family has recently moved into a new village in Japan. Specifically, they have apparently bought the local haunted house, where urban legends state the ghost of a disgraced samurai still resides. Yeah, samurai ghosts are pretty bad, but the kid is also being bullied at school, as well as the fact that she's undergoing some very uncomfortable treatment by a dodgy doctor. It seems this tale is a dream, and she is being repeatedly sedated in order to progress further through the dream narrative, but she keeps waking up in fright prematurely. The implications of this story and the delayed dread are both deeply nerve-wracking. That's right, if you could see my nerves, they would appear thoroughly racked. The third story involves a man recollecting some childhood summer memories. Is he fondly recalling playing in the fields, or lapping ice cream on the beach? No ho ho! He remembers a community terrorized by a man, or beast, with people going missing and decapitated heads being found. The fourth and final main story is a chilling and beautifully animated tale that perhaps best encapsulates the film's title, Fears of the Dark. A man breaks into a house during a snowstorm. He sneaks around, and when it appears he is alone, he begins to make himself at home. Slowly, the man develops a feeling of uneasiness, which reaches a head when he uncovers a haunting family album. Boasting some of the scariest imagery of the film and some Shining-style music cues, this is an atmospheric primal treat. The remaining 2 sections are spliced up and occur fractured in between the longer segments. One of these is really fearful, as a man with a most terrible face travels across the land, unleashing his murderous hounds upon a variety of unsuspecting helpless victims. This story comes with a sense of sad inevitability. Every time we cut back here, we know another poor soul is going to be ripped apart. The villain becomes a figure to be truly afraid of. It all climbs towards the obvious conclusion, but the obviousness doesn't make it any less satisfying. The other spliced up section is the film's outlier, and I'm sure most people would agree, the weakest link.
Goodbye.
Abstract patterns and shifting optical illusions morph on the screen as a woman narrates a long series of everyday middle-class fears. These range from being afraid that their life is average, or that their political ideology actually falls towards the right. They can be funny, and it is a fine impression of an overwrought, overthinking brain, but it does feel a touch out of place, surrounded by ghosts, bugs, and hellhounds. But hey, if you're a fan of the French New Wave and all that shit, these may well be your favourite parts. The greatest asset that Fears of the Dark has is variety. The different tales bring contrasting styles of animation, from traditional and realistic, to anime-inspired and very proudly digitised feels. I don't know as much about animation as I would like, so I can't go much deeper, but I do know that every 5 seconds, the film gives you something new. With every single shot, you can be sure to see something interesting, something weird, pretty, or downright twisted. Good animation just hits differently, doesn't it? Loneliness feels lonelier. The weird stuff is weirder. Jump scares are more unexpected. And fake-out scares are more creative. Anything is possible in animation, which many of these animators understand and run wild with. It is tough to choose a favourite segment. Visually, I love the dog story, but I think it either comes down to the bug collector or the paranoid man in the house. Plot-wise, the bug collector is superior and downright weird. The paranoid man is simple in its narratives, but makes such great use of shadows, high contrast imagery, and negative spaces. It is great proof that you can do a lot with very, very little. If anyone has seen Fears of the Dark, I would like to know which segment resonated with you the most. And now I bid you adieu!